and good afternoon to everyone online. By way of quick introduction, ANC is a last mile delivery experience partner, delivering over 6 million outcomes to customers' homes on an annual basis. Our services extend beyond last mile delivery, and that's through to complex in-home installations, including repurposing to communities in need. Next, having slide malfunction here. Our electrification journey was kickstarted by IKEA in many ways when they set an ambitious target of 100% zero emissions delivery. Now that might sound good, but our journey is and has been extremely challenging, particularly because we don't own the assets and we operate an independent contractor model. We've got around 30 EVs deployed now with the goal of getting to 30% of our fleet converted by 2028. Now for context, our fleet is just over 1,000 vehicles and sometimes scaling up to 1,200 vehicles. We are deploying a further 112 vehicles over the next 2 years. Now I know 112 vehicles is a very specific number, and I'm happy to share how we got to that number over during some time. Look, we've had a bumpy journey to get here with many setbacks and many disappointments, but we're now armed with insights and we feel like we're ready to go. So I'm going to share our approach over the last 12 months, which really gave us clarity and cut through, and then I'll talk through some learnings. We were stuck on about 3 to 5 vehicles for a very long time as we got caught up in the noise. I think by and large, we all face the same dilemma, and that is that everyone wants it. Everyone wants battery electric vehicles and decarbonisation, but the challenge is that no one really wants to pay for it. We attended lots of industry events, we read many ESG reports, and somehow got climatized to sustainability jargon. But what we found most impactful was to figure out how to spend our time identifying the key areas where we could get some impactful focus and then work backwards to some convictions. We think that the market will be forced away from the current transitionary phase, and we're really seeing evidence of government's willingness to partner with industry. We think that charging infrastructure limitations, particularly for heavy vehicle commercial fleets, will ease somewhat, but remain challenging. Government incentives in accessible public charging for commercial fleets will be progressive at best. End customers are certainly demanding more sustainable options, with 60% of consumers saying they'll delay a purchase. But what we're observing is that there's a disconnect between intent and reality. Now, we're really starting to see growth being assessed against tangible ESG credentials, but more importantly, our ability to make an impact. We think that the tension between technology and industry demands is starting to shift, but not yet resolved by then. In our area of focus, access to vehicle stock will ease, but we think that's going to remain challenging for a period of time. So we addressed problems as opportunities and accepted that progress was better than perfection. In many ways, we were lucky enough to learn from our early deployment of 3 Generation 1 C-electric trucks. The 3 broad buckets we had to lean into and solve for was cost, range, and education. Now, there's no getting away from the higher upfront costs, and to many of us, we reference that as the TCO gap. So we needed to find ways to bridge the TCO gap for all parties. Now, given that we don't own the assets, we simply prioritize work in EVs over brown vehicles as a commercial incentives to our delivery professionals. We learned that collective purchase power can make a significant dent in lowering the upfront costs. So we launched a Take the Pledge campaign in the hope to unify the industry, simply to stimulate competition amongst OEMs. We observed some partial success, but I think we can certainly do so much better if we came together. Owner-operators typically lack the capital intensity to make these large asset purchases, so we needed to find diverse financing options to increase accessibility of vehicles and finance for our drivers and delivery professionals. Now, once they make a purchase, the worst possible outcome is a vehicle without a charger. So our priority is to make charging as frictionless as possible for them by doing simple things like mapping public access charges to their apps, so that gives them real-time visibility on availability. We've been installing AC chargers at home for vans and faster chargers where it makes sense, with manifested top-ups stops to extend range using the public access charging network. Now, we'll acknowledge that while that approach is viable for vans, which makes up about 70% of our fleet, larger vehicles like truck charging remains challenging with a very high dependence on depot charging. This is where we rely on our clients. Depot charging installation is a protracted and costly process, and we're super grateful to clients like IKEA for stepping up to support the journey. Perception. So Mark spoke about driver education early on. What we're finding is that perception very quickly becomes reality for delivery professionals who are used to their ICE vehicles and spend the bulk of their times delivering in either diesel or petrol vehicles. We've figured out how to capture and compare performance data against varying operating conditions so that we can dispel any misconceptions early. We learned that leveraging the early adopters to tell their story is far more impactful for our fleet when we're converting fleet than us telling that story. And simple things that matter most, like educating the fleet on the free apps like PlugShare, ChargeFox, and others. Now, again, whilst this is viable for most vans, it's not for trucks and longer vans, and this remains challenging for us. Last point on this slide is that we've adopted an always-on approach to efficiency and finding new solution development. And so our focus is on improving selections of EVs to match or exceed ICE vehicles under all operating conditions and looking for innovative ways as to how we can sweat these assets. For ANC, our primary focus is on Scope 3 indirect as it relates to transport and distribution. It's an important distinction for us, given that we are a capital-light business and operate an independent contractor model. It's also an important intersection between the clients and the high visibility of these assets to their customers. So we really have an opportunity to create relevance for both clients and customers. Our primary focus is on the easy to abate segment, or that's at least how we are looking at this, particularly those involving distances below 250 kilometers, where we think we can make a significant and direct impact well ahead of 2030 or Paris Agreement targets for that matter. Now, 85% of our fleet travel less than 250 kilometers, and we are actively collaborating with clients and other industry partners as well to solve for distances up to 500 kilometers, and that's our next focus. So if you are contemplating making a start, we think that now is a great time, thanks to increased competition and choice. We started by choosing to narrow our options, and we made a start initially with 3C electric trucks in 2019. Now, back then, that was the only available EVs in market, and so we progressively addressed the growing need for vans in our fleet. So today, the most popular vehicle in our fleet is the LDV E9 due to its range, its price point, and suitability to our freight needs. We've since evolved the van into a cab chassis, which is simply the same underlying van with a bigger battery and a box on the back of it. And that addresses cost efficiency, range, and efficiency, and we've created some efficiency through scale buying power. The LDV now has a bigger battery, it's got 66% bigger cubic capacity, and an extended warranty of up to 8 years, up from 3 years when we first implemented the vans. On the far right, we've got our JAC 9-ton vehicle. It's our bulk mover with a 9-ton GVM. It's highly configurable with a payload upwards of 4 tons, making it perfect for our freight needs and perfect for anything between 8 and 10 pallet loads. In fact, we're deploying 12 of these vehicles starting from next week, so they are a new addition to our fleet, and we're quite excited about what this product has to offer. If you're contemplating making a start, as I mentioned, it is a great opportunity for you to think about the opportunities beyond just public access charging. One of the greatest misconceptions and widely held perceptions is that rapid DC charging is a prerequisite to transition to zero emissions vehicles. The reality, or at least for us, is that a mixed modal charging strategy is equally viable for a mixed fleet, and there are a range of options to solve on-site charging. Now, mixed modal simply leverages depot, public access, and at-home charging. Now, again, clients who recognize they can extend range are leaning in to help us address depot-based charging, but it is complex and it is costly. So I think we need to continue lobbying for access to accessible truck and commercial charging. If I had to summarize what we've learned through this initial phase, We learned how to balance investment versus a point-in-time financial viability. I mean, those 3 C electric trucks, the payback on that was just not viable. And so we had to take a leap of faith. We've learned which asset classes to invest in and how to deploy to optimize for efficiency and how to deliver targeted education to alleviate range anxiety. That means we now know which vendor relationships to develop and where we can find further efficiencies to create relevance. The point we're at now is we want to scale those learnings and share it. So armed with real-life data and knowledge share, we turn to Arena to seek support to scale these learnings in an attempt to solve the remaining challenges. Now, I must say that after several failed attempts, we announced a funding agreement that would see us deploy the largest managed fleet of independently owned battery electric vehicles. That's an important distinction because the opportunity we have in front of us is to cut deep into the communities, because our delivery fleet, by and largely, are migrants to Australia, who otherwise won't be able to make these purchases themselves. The funding is going to be used to bridge the TCO gap and fund depot and at-home charging. So under the program, we'll deploy a further 85 of the cab chassis and 27 trucks. The journey was certainly bumpy, but as you can see, there's growing evidence that government and industry can partner to accelerate the transition. I think there's also merit and benefit in all of us uniting to create commercial tension on the OEMs so that we can bring more competition and variety to the market. So in summary, for any of you contemplating EVs in your fleet, I'd say start somewhere. Be clear on the parameters to scale. Dispel misconceptions with data as quickly as you possibly can. Leverage your early adopters and work backwards to your beliefs. Thank you.